Hello and what's this week's Devil the Detail podcast? I'm Rob Parkinson and we're here talking all things Salford Red Devils. Joining the show this week, as ever, we've got Paul Parkin. Parkin, enjoying your bank holiday?
Yeah, it's not bad. The sun came out late on. That was nice. Yeah, I've not done anything, to be honest with you. I've just, like you do on a bank holiday, just sat around, watched telly. But yeah, no, it's been okay. It's just nice to have people around. See people in the street and that kind of thing, because during the week usually it's dead. But yeah, no, it's been all right. I'm just all keyed up for a match now. Missed it last week. It's bad when you get in the swing of it and then it's taken away from you. I know we had the international, but actually physically watching your team it's a different emotion, isn't it? And not having it last week, I was a bit gutted. So yeah, I can't wait to get back.
Yeah, I did a traditional bank holiday barley farm trip. Got myself a roast, no carbs though. And I was like, oh, got the sweats again. Well, it was a good sweats this time.
You can't be a good carvery though, can you?
No.
Let's be honest. That's probably what bank holidays are made for, really. Yeah. Never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
No, I just sat at home and chilled out. But now you've said that, missed out now.
Yeah, Deliveroo. I want a roast. I want it now.
Yeah, I'm sure they do, or somebody would.
Yeah.
But no, I'll grab some scran in a bit, but sadly it won't be a roast.
No. So loads to go at this week, because obviously we ran out of time last week with all the reviews and the big news regarding the supporters share scheme. So we'll go through all the news which has gone in the last couple of weeks. So we'll start with the supporters share scheme. Parker, nearly £100,000 donated/invested. What a fantastic effort so far from the fans.
Yeah, in a week. That's phenomenal, isn't it? Especially in these times at the moment, money's it's tight for everyone. You think £100. It's filling your car up, isn't it? The prices they are now. It's doing a shop. It's whatever. It's paying your bills. So people have been massively generous. Obviously, there's a long way to go, but there's still plenty of time. This is like 1 week, and obviously you'll get a peak, but it'll keep coming through. It's a brilliant effort from everyone, and I'm sure the club will be delighted with the response. And the more the word gets spread, I'm sure more and more money will come in, and then the club will know where they're at and what they're going to be working with.
Yeah, all about momentum in it, really. 350 owners, positive reviews in the press. Everybody, really excited about what's to come with this parquet. And I just think, obviously, it's the start of something. We talked about, reasons why people would want to get involved, and we talked about being the opportunity club. And this is an opportunity for us fans to literally put your money where your mouth is. If you think you can help the club, and your money will go into a good part of the club and be able to for them to grow, it's a great thing looking forward.
Yeah, I think it's opened up a lot of people's eyes. You get people every week saying, "Why don't we do this? Why haven't we signed in? Why we need this? Why don't we go?" We say every week, "Oh, we need another prop," but we know financially it's not a great thing. But there are people out there who don't seem to get that.
Yeah,
it costs money that we don't have. The club has no money. It pays bills and wages, and that's how it's working. This investment could help us get out of that problem, and give everybody who's perhaps a little bit skeptical about the running of the club or something like that an inside look as of next year as to what actually goes on, what it costs to run a rugby league club full time, and how difficult it's been for the last few years for Paul King and Ian Blease and all the staff there that worked unbelievably hard to get us to the position we're in, with very little staff and certainly no money. So this is your chance now to, like you've just said, put your money where your mouth is. It's easier for us to sit there and criticise and, wow, we should be doing this. Why have they done that and we don't do this? You get a look inside, behind the curtain, so to speak, and times are tough for everybody, including, your rugby league club. But, so far, so good. It looks positive. And I think more people will jump on board. Obviously, like I say, it's been a tough time, but we launched it at the end of a month where people don't get paid till the end of the month kind of thing. So again, you might get another boost now. And going forward, people have plans already in place that they're paid off, or, holidays to pay for or whatever. and then they might think, I've still got, this money. Let's put it in. So yeah, no, it's great. It's going well, and fingers crossed we can hit that 250 as soon as possible, and then push on from there.
Yep, so very exciting. Keep your eyes on Salford Red Devils socials. They'll tell you when they get over 100k and continue the march to the first level of 250k. Parkers, obviously, there's other, after 250k, there's ambitions to get museums and other things, which is important. Obviously, we can't just aim to go for 250k. We need to go up and beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, just push as far as we can. Yeah, I think hopefully, there's enough time for everybody to get, to get donations in, or well, buy your share kind of thing. And hopefully some of the businesses in the area will be picked up and invest larger amounts. It's brilliant that us as fans, you can start 100 quid, and that's great, but we're going to need big donations to hit big targets, and the more we can do that, the more we can bring in from private and corporate business, will push us further on, and the more money we've got, the better things will be. It's obvious. You think that of your own home and what you have to spend in your life. If you had a bit more money, it'd be great. So yeah, I think we'll do okay. I think we'll get there for the first marker, and then it's a case of urging people to say, let's not stop. This is a big thing we're doing now, and this will fund the club for the next God knows how many years, and put things in place that will benefit us going forward once IMG get us hopefully get us a license and moving forward.
Yeah, very exciting times. Keep your eyes on that. Other news: Huddersfield Challenge Cup, park it at home. It's live on V Play. Return of Ian Watson obviously left us for bigger and better things, he thought. Opportunity for Salford to right that wrong.
Yeah, and I think we don't owe them one as such. Obviously, what we did to them last year in the playoffs was enough for most of us to be happy. But the performance against Huddersfield a couple of weeks ago just fell below a little bit. I know we had a lot of injuries, and we were up against a strong squad there at Huddersfield. They've got magnificent resources really that we could only dream of, which is again going back to people putting money in. But yeah, it's a good chance for us to hit back, and being at home, I mean, we've got to make the most of it. It could have been a hell of a lot worse, that draw. I mean, you look at Leeds and Wigan and Catalan, Warrington, massive thing. We have got a Super League club, but we're at home, and we get through this, who knows? I mean, you've got to have the winner of York and London. One of them is going to be in the next round, definitely. You're not far away from Wembley. That's the key, and I hope we can get players back onto the park. If we got a full team out, we'll trouble anyone. So in a one-off game, I think it's brilliant. I think it's a great tie, and one that I think we should be looking forward to, because I think the two teams are very contrasting in style. And I think last time we played them, I think we brought the best out of Huddersfield at our place. And then we played a slightly different style than their usual. They were a little bit more adventurous, not overly. I mean, they're not quite the Harlem Globetrotters, but they knew that they had to play a different way to beat us. So I think the two styles will clash, and it'll be a good tie. Yeah,
be exciting. Obviously, the Challenge Cup, the one we all want, obviously got there against Leeds, but none of us actually physically went to Wembley. So it would be great if we can get to the Twin Towers and win the cup.
It's been, yeah. I mean, I was one of the foolish that travelled down there on the faint hope that we might be let in during COVID for the final, but we stood outside and then all went to the boozer and watched it. So whatever. If we'd have won it, it'd have been an amazing weekend down there. But it was great anyway for the lads to get there. But a massive achievement after so long. But to go back with fans, and us as Salford fans, I mean, the Challenge Cup means a hell of a lot to me, and I think it probably is because it's a bit of the Holy Grail. Because it shouldn't mean anything to me, because we've never done anything in it really. We've a few semi-finals and a final in my lifetime. It's got that draw for me, more so than the grand final. People may say I'm crazy, but I grew up with the Challenge Cup being the big knockout. You get a big team or whatever. You'd start off at away at Bramley, and then you'd have a bigger tie next and build up. And who can forget, the euphoria of the Wigan game back in '96, things like that. Moments like that in cups are brilliant, and I just love to watch us walk out. Actually be in the stadium and see us walk out at Wembley. At that point, I think you could probably take me there. I wouldn't be too fussed about the result or even seeing the end of the game, to be honest with you. Just to see him come out of the tunnel, into that, past the trophy. I mean, if we ever won it, I don't know what I'd do. I think I'd lose my mind. But yeah, it's exciting. I love the Challenge Cup. I know a lot of people do, probably the older generation more so than perhaps, people who've been watching 10, 15 years. It's more Super League based, isn't it? But no, it's a great competition. I'd like the format to be changed again. I don't think it's quite working the way it is. But still, if you win it, I don't care how it works. Yeah, so exciting times. I'd love to get there, and this is the first step.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the quote is. Something like a dream is a dream you dream alone, and a target is a dream you dream together. Something like that. Maybe. Might just making these quotes up, Park. You never know. just style it out like some kind of a Gandhi. Other news: the reserves will now play Hull KR away in August. I presume we were due to play in this week, but fixture was moved. Stuart Wilkinson's men's obviously had a week off after last week's win.
That's a long gap, isn't it, for a rescheduled game to move to August? It's a bit bizarre.
Yeah.
I'm sure the lads are happy because it's a long and arduous trip to go up to Rovers, isn't it? It's not always comfortable, let's say that. So give us a bit more time to build. And these lads, like we say every week, most of them are still learning. And an experience like going up to Craven Park, if that's where they're going to play it, will be, if you've not played there, I'm sure quite a daunting task. But yeah, no, I mean, these lads are still learning and need games, but this one obviously gonna have to wait.
Yeah, talking about me quotes, Parky, it wasn't too far off. It's a dream you dream alone is only a dream. A dream you dream together is a reality. Not too far away.
Okay.
Credit to her.
Just going back to the Challenge Cup, I mean, what a feeling it'd be for the club as well, financially, hopefully. I know last time, I think by making Wembley, we lost money. Because you couldn't sell merchandise, you had no, there was no ticket money, there was nothing really out of it, and the prize money was probably rubbish because rugby league does that. But obviously, we travelled down the day before, and there was a coach to the station. They got a private train or first class train down to London and the hotel and everything else. But it'd be great financially, I think, for us to get there with fans. You add all that on the merchandise alone and that kind of thing. And the publicity, and in this time where we want a bit of cash coming in, it's perfect.
So you never know. We're all there. Hopefully it comes in and we can really embrace it this time rather than watch it on the box. Talking about embracing things, Mark Sneed kicked his 503rd point for Salford. Over 2 stints, what a player he's been for us, in recent times. The real sort of general for me, gets us around the field, is our brain, really. And obviously, he's lost probably a yard or two of pace, but really, he was never really that fast anyway. But he's so important to this team.
Yeah, I think what you lose in pace, you gain the experience and know-how, don't you? And he's certainly got that. He can lead us around the pitch brilliantly. He's a great foil with Brody. The two completely different styles, and one does one job and one does the other, and it works. Brilliant. It did all last year. He's not doing bad this year either. And his overall game, his awareness, the timing of a well placed kick or whatever, even last week, the game against Catalan, deciding to take the 2 when we did, won us the game in the end, things like that, and you can rely on him doing that. That's the main thing. There's no point trying to take penalties if you're going to miss. He's as accurate as anyone in the game possibly has ever been. He's brilliant, and I remember him coming through in the academy years ago. We had a great academy team at the time. People like Theo Farge and think the Warren brothers were there, and people like, we were bringing players through at a great rate at that point. Unfortunately, it all got, scrapped, and these players then move on. And he's had a great career everywhere he's gone. I mean, he's probably, I don't want to speak on behalf of him, but he's probably a bit of a legend in Hull for what he did. The Challenge Cup wins, and he obviously won the Lance Todd. So yeah, no, it's all credit to him for keeping going all them years, and now coming back to us sort of full circle, and leading us as well as he is. And it's a brilliant achievement.
Yeah, I think I heard a stat somewhere that he's engaging defenders more than he ever has, which is obviously testament to him adapting his style the older he's got, and producing better rugby league and chances. And obviously, like you say, his link up with Brodie Croft is unreal. Obviously, Ryan Briley out the back as well. We've got creative aspects all over our team, which is he's a vital part of that, and obviously to get 503 points for Salford is a wonderful thing. Congratulations on that, Mark, and hopefully many more to come in the next couple of years. We talked about the Catalan game last week, Park. Here the attendance was 3,947, which was 1,400 better than last year. We know United was playing. We know 4,000 isn't going to raise massive eyebrows, but you're looking at a massive increase there, 1,400 supporters over 12 months, which is should be applauded for me.
Oh, undoubtedly, they made the right move in moving the kick-off as well, to give people the opportunity to come and watch us, and then if they wanted to go and watch United, that was fine. That was there for you. It is a massive achievement. I think we've seen it, and it does go hand in hand with success on the pitch. Of course, it does. There's no. We could do every marketing tool in the book. You can do anything you like, but if your team's rubbish, you're not going to do anything. I remember a guy saying to me, sadly passed, an old friend of mine, who said years ago when we were still at the Willows, the Willows were still there, I remember drinking with him, and he said, there's one thing Salford have never tried for years, and it's success to get people into the ground. And at that point, you're going, yeah, you're probably right. We've done everything else. We remember going back to Tris Goldsmith and, all that kind of stuff. We've tried it. We just can't keep them because you get beat and nobody comes back. And it's changed now. And last year, the momentum that was built at the back end of last season was tremendous. I mean, them numbers, sadly, we're taking them away and not at home, but starting with the Cass game away, and then obviously Huddersfield and Saints, unreal numbers. We know they're there. We know the support's there. It's just getting them week in, week out. Clashing with United every week isn't helping. I know we've mentioned it before. There was a stat, wasn't it, put out that it's been best part of the year since we've not played on the same day. I mean, how do you get around that? I don't know. Do we look at the fixtures pre and try and talk to the RFL and Super League and say, can we move this? Or do we just stick to our guns and say, well, this is our support. You're either going to come and watch us or you're not. It's as simple as that. We've got to be careful with that, because we don't want to alienate people and say, well, I've got a season ticket at both. What do we do? But no, positive. Numbers are up. We know they are. I mean, I can see it around me in the West Stand. The seats that were vacant this time last year are now full with faces that I don't recognise, people I've never seen before, families that I've never seen. And it's brilliant. And the amount, I mean, there was a lady sat behind me this week who was basically being explained all the rules, because she obviously didn't know. She was from the south somewhere. I'm not 100% of the accent, but and she absolutely loved it, loved every minute of it. And the game, obviously, because the Catalan game was exciting in the way it ended and everything else, I'll guarantee she'll come back. And that's what's going to put bums on seats for us. But no, I can't fault the club on what they're trying. And we just what we do need is a team who are going to bring fans with them to help us a little bit, because again, the atmosphere is a big thing. And again, against Catalan, you've got no fans, no away fans to oppose. We've played Wakefield, who hadn't won or scored a point in 3 weeks. We've had games on Thursdays against teams from Yorkshire. We have got Wigan, Warrington, Saints, Leigh, all to come at our place. We've got, Leeds even. I don't know. They don't bring loads these days, but these will be bigger attendances, which should create an atmosphere. You win them games, people come back. I think we'll be all right. I think our average at the end of this year might surprise us a bit.
It's a slow build, isn't it? I think, Park. You can't expect 8,000, 10,000 people just to rock up and to keep them. It's word of mouth. It's the right kind of news in news articles, promoting what we do well, playing good rugby, and people engage with that and think, oh, you know what, I might give Salford a chance. But that doesn't happen overnight. You've got to it's like kind of brainwashing the people who aren't involved to think, I'm missing out on something here. I need to go. And that's what you kind of that's what's happening at the moment. All the positive stuff that's coming out of the club, especially with this supporters share scheme, seems to engage a lot of people into what the club are all about. And you're kind of hoping that will feed down. Yeah, we've got supporters who have obviously invested, but there will be people who aren't going every week thinking, you know what, if I want to engage in this, I might go down and see what I'm engaging in, which is important. Obviously, you've got to take, you've got to keep your current supporters, got to keep them happy, but also you've got to engage in new people all the time to bring the fresh blood in, as it were. So, like I say, very excited about what's going on regarding the attendances. They're not massive, but we are going in the right direction, and that's all we can ask for. The club, like you say, doing great. Promotions, engaging with schools, engaging the community. There's nothing else that they can do. It's just a matter of waiting for the wheels to turn. As soon as the wheels start to turn, and we continue to win matches, continue to reach playoffs, continue to score, play well, people will come.
Yeah, something I looked at the other day. I found an old sort of magazine that I had, rugby league sort of preview to a season. I think Open Rugby at the time, the famous magazine, they brought it out, and it was looking forward to the 87-88 season.
Right.
Well, what they'd done, they'd listed the crowds from the year before, the average crowd, and only one team at that point averaged over 10,000. Right. Nothing was ever said about this at the time. We had Saints averaging 6, Warrington were getting 4. We were averaging 2,700. This is First Division Rugby League at the time. Now, that's an average over a whole season. And all the teams were, and you look at Rugby League now and the health that it's in, considering it still doesn't get the press and media, but people worry about crowds a little bit too much. It comes and goes in terms of, in Rugby League. And if you look back, 20 years, crowds weren't great at all. So I think what we're achieving at the moment is pretty good, and it's going to take us a while because it's been 40 odd years, not far off 50 years since we won anything proper. People aren't just going to tip. We need to, like you've said, you need to build slowly. But we're starting from a decent base now, and I think we will. I think, like I say, I think our average at the end of the year will be fairly decent. If we can end up averaging 5.5, I mean that's pretty good. I think the best I ever remember as an average in my 40 odd years was 6,000 something as an average over a whole year, and that was late 80s. So we're not gonna get 10,000. We're not gonna get probably 8,000 an average, but we can aim for 5.5, 6. I mean that's a great number for us. And a massive improvement.
Yeah, I have to go back in the memory banks. I'm sure Paul King said something about reaching, is it 5,000 or 6,000 means we can spend the full cap. Obviously, things might have changed since then, but it's an indicator, isn't it? If we do manage to reach that kind of area, the health the club should be in, which is exciting. We'll have to wait and see what plays out. Like you say, big teams to come with big followings will bump up that average. And obviously, as long as we keep winning, all good. Other news. Tyler Dupree selected for England in the mid-season international against France. Been fantastic for us all season, and from what I saw, played very well.
Yeah, he did all right. He did okay. Took a couple of really big drives, and every time there was 2-3 French forwards trying to drag him down. Yeah, it was a fairly impressive sort of debut, really. I mean, they all did. I mean, you have to question the opposition as well, unfortunately, but. No, brilliant, great for Tyler. I mean, I've told everyone I know, was telling my wife about it, about him. He was at Leeds Academy, he gets booted out of there. I think he played Oldham in the League One. Then he went to Widnes and played part time. And within less than 12 months, he's an England international, a full international. I mean, what an effort from him. I mean, great from point of view for Rowles and Bleasy for picking him up in the first place, giving him another chance. Like you always say, opportunity club. That's perfect evidence. Getting him into shape, and then, you know, him himself, his own endeavour, and now he's attracting again attention from other clubs. Fortunately, we've got him under contract, so, you know, whatever. But that again is why we need money coming in so we can keep hold of these players. But he's he's not. Excuse me. He's not even in his peak yet. So I think he's going to be an international for many years to come. I'm just full of praise for him.
Yeah, very exciting times. You know, development so far have been fantastic. Like you said, he's got years ahead of him. He's going to be a superstar player for me. So hopefully that'll be in a red shirt. We've got him in a long-term contract. You know, hopefully he'll continue to develop. We'll get him another long-term contract, and we'll see the best years of his life in a Salford shirt. Talking about the internationals, both the men and the women convincingly beat France 64-0. Parker, not great for the sport. Obviously, international level sport, you do get, you know, media representation. You get headlines in newspapers. You get TV. You get, you know, people know about it. But I don't know how positive that is for the game that we smash France by 64 points to 0 twice.
I agree. I don't think it does anything for the sport. I mean, you know, I say everyone's heard me say about international rugby. I want it to be massive. I want what rugby union have got, because that's why rugby union gets so much coverage, because of the international game. Really, I believe there was nearly 60,000 at Twickenham for the women's game the other day against France. Only less than 9,000 turned up at Warrington for our international. You know, because I think most of us knew what was going to happen. The difference in class, I know they were missing players, the French, but even if they had them, they're not getting near this England team. And this England team isn't the strongest England team that could have been picked. Players rested or injured or whatever else. The gap is, I think, is getting bigger. And that's a bit of a worry, considering we do have, I mean, last season we had 2 full-time French teams in the Super League. And I'm not sure it's advanced far enough. I'm not saying right off the, you know, the thing. Don't get me wrong, but I think we need to look at it again. And I don't know what the answer is, because there isn't anybody else in the Northern Hemisphere we can play. You know, France is probably the strongest. If you can get the Australian contingent in a Greek squad or an Italian squad or whatever, then maybe you could have a go. But it's not really going to work. There's only really, obviously, as we know, the major South Sea teams, the Aussies, Kiwis and Tongans, that kind of thing, and ourselves that are going to compete. We can't have a mid-season international where we've got to fly over the other side of the world, or them to us. But there's got to be an answer. We've got to do something and get this international game sorted. I mean, I felt for the French lads. They never stopped. They never gave up. You know, and they certainly put some shots in. And there are some good players, but they're not enough of them. And you've got players in there, in that French team, who are playing in their Elite One league, you know, their championship, and it's not good enough. And we can't just rely on Catalan, I suppose, to produce the players that we need. So I want the French game to grow. Of course we do. You know, we've got a good relationship with the French from our own history, and the sport needs a strong French team. But at the moment, it's a long way away.
I think as soon as I started reading about withdrawals, Parker, from both squads, I was like, not going to happen. This not going to happen at all. The clubs need to take international rugby league seriously if they want the game to grow. I understand, obviously, it's all about. Don't get me wrong. It's Salford above everything, really. But if we want the whole pitch, the whole pie to become bigger and more money involved in it, we need to have representation at an international level, which is of a good quality. I've always said before on this podcast, what we need to do, we need to play New Zealand, Tonga, Australia in like a round robin contest at the end of the season. I think like the Rugby Union do, where they play South Africa, Argentina, Australia, New Zealand, and all the home nations play off against each other. Obviously, we can't do that because the likes of Wales and Scotland against the likes of Australia, New Zealand won't particularly work well. But Great Britain or England could could go involved in like a four round play there, and bring a lot of sponsorship in, bring a lot of competition, and that's the important thing. But back to the sort of the French side of it, like you say, it's a building thing, but they're in a situation where they're probably better than the rest, but not as good as us, and that's the position where they find themselves, which is a difficult situation because you need to be able to step up to our level. But the only way you're going to step up to our level is to play us more regular. But then if we're going to stick 50 points on you every week, how much does that help them?
Yeah, and I mean it's a shame that Toulouse thing didn't work last year. They came up, went straight back down. But what they've done, and what the mistake we make all the time is, and I'm not just talking about the French teams, I'm talking about rugby league in general in this country, is we import too many players. The best players playing for Catalan are English or Australian. The same happened with Toulouse. The majority of their team weren't French, which is no good for developing the game. And I understand if we've got 8 overseas players, why can't they have overseas? Well, yeah, but let's make sure the squad is still majority of the country it's in, and that's part of the problem at the moment. They've had some great players at Catalan, but most of them have been the likes of Stacey Jones or Steve Menzies or somebody like Australians who are probably past their peak and moving on, and it's still the same now, and it's not going to help the international game. My other point to that is that for the French, what the Rugby League have missed out on again is after the World Cup, nothing was put in place to develop an international tournament. Why aren't France having games again against Wales or Scotland, if that's the case, and Ireland, but certainly against Italy, Greece, Lebanon? These other nations are just on that cusp of being, okay, and the game's developing. No, there's no point putting the French up against England. It's not going to work at the moment. But let these other nations develop. Even Serbia, obviously, we spoke about in the past and the development of the game there, and that's where we've got to be. But there's no tournament put in place. The French have a friendly against England now. They get battered. When do they play again? Nobody knows. It might be next year, and it might be against England again, or it might be, they might have the Europeans or whatever. But it's not going to work. They need competitive games constantly to develop to get people interested. And these other countries will benefit from it. I mean, you look at the sort of, the Australians, and they don't particularly take the international game to heart at the moment. But you've had the Kiwis, the Tongans, Samoans, Fijians, all these, the New Guineas, that they play against each other, and it creates this sort of, and this rivalry, and then better players will come through. And you get more experience at international level, because the next time French play, it being the Europeans or whatever it is, but when it comes to the World Cup in their own country in a couple of years' time, they won't be ready for World Cup rugby. They won't be ready for New Zealand, England, and Australia, Tonga, because they'll still be at that level. We're not putting things in place now to develop the international game for anybody, and England are going to suffer for that as well.
Yeah, it's obviously fascinating, Parker. We'll see what happens in the next few months and how the international scene develops. Talking about the PDRL rugby scene in the Magic Weekend, we'll play Hull, KR and Wigan at St James's Park. Obviously, a great occasion and a great opportunity for this team to show what they've got.
Yeah, and a big occasion, that, isn't it? It's brilliant. Hopefully we can all get there. I know there's going to be train strikes now, isn't there? So yeah. Bit of a nightmare. But yeah, no, they need the exposure. Again, to develop. That's another sport we need. We need to be back in and helping. But yeah, it'd be fascinating to see them. I remember, was it last year I went? The year before? I can't remember now. And they were there then. The face. I mean, the enjoyment on everybody's. To see that. That's why. I mean, rugby league is such a great sport for that. And yeah, it'd be a great day from a few tough challenges.
Yeah, be exciting. Talk about exciting. The ladies' nines fixtures have been announced. It's on the 14th of May at Victoria Park. We play Cardiff Demons, Leeds and Bradford. Obviously, our ladies now in Super League 2. It's going to be, a real good, 3 teams there who are going to challenge them. It's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, I think we mentioned Leeds last week, didn't we? And they're obviously the benchmark in many ways. I know York have been brilliant this year, and Saints are always up there, but Leeds are where you want to be. They're the professional side, so it'd be nice to see us go up against them. But no, it's a good tournament, and hopefully we can get to the finals this year and run about on our own turf. But it'll be a fascinating tournament, and it is a different sport, in many ways than the 13-a-side. So it creates, it's not all about biff and bash. You need speed and skill to play that, and it's brilliant to watch, isn't it? Sevens rugby and nines and that kind of thing. So yeah, no, that'll be fun. Victoria Park, is that Warrington?
Warrington. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's interesting. I'll have to check the diary for that.
Still not go over last year's miss from the final. Still not go over that. Still really out of a cold sweat when I saw that on Twitter when it came out that we hadn't qualified. I was like, are we not qualified for this? But I've got over it now. Just.
Yeah, my thoughts on it at the time. Made it perfectly clear. It's one of the most ridiculous decisions I've ever known. But anyway, now they've got a chance to redeem that and hopefully make the big day.
Yeah. Final bit of news, Parker. The club have started promoting Ghana Rugby League, one of our link-ups around the world, and their league season started last week. Parker, exciting. Obviously, like you say, we've got link up with Red Star Belgrade, Australia, Wales, and it's great. Obviously, we've got Ghana involved as well. Players all over the world, having links and being able one day, hopefully, to play for Salford Red Devils.
Yeah, brilliant. I love the enthusiasm of what's going on in Ghana. In Africa in general, it's quite unknown, but there's 4 or 5 countries playing against each other at the moment that people wouldn't even know about. Nigeria, Cameroon, obviously Ghana. There's a few. I think Kenya are back on the scene as they were many years ago, and it's brilliant. And I followed it last year. I know there's not lots of domestic teams, but when you think where they're coming from, what growth, this is an alien sport to people in that country, and yet the passion is unbelievable for it. And I'm glad we're part of that. I really am. Pioneers of it, and hopefully one day we might get the benefit of a couple of their lads coming over and lasses, because I know the Ghana ladies are really good as well. And developing the sport. You mentioned there, the links we've got in the States and New Zealand, Australia, Ghana, Serbia, wherever. More power to us. And what does Salford bring to rugby league? Who knows? But it's great, and I'm going to look forward to Ghana this year and see what how it develops again. Their man service, I've been keeping an eye on Red Star. They've had a great start, and I think they've got an international coming up over there against Greece in a couple of weeks. So that'll be good to see. But no, the development of the sport, this is what I'm saying about the international game. We get people interested, more viewing figures. People will sit down and watch. TV companies will take it seriously. More money will be invested, more sponsorship, and everybody benefits. But it's got to start there. It's got to start at the grassroots. And I'm gonna keep my eye out for what happens in Ghana this year.
Yeah, very exciting times. They've got 5 teams in the division. Accra Panthers, Nunga Tigers, and their star player is Oliver Perman. Parking name to look out for there. The Bulls, the Scholars, who are the reigning champions, and the Bears. So I think me, you, and Paul should pick a team. So which one would you like?
Well, as mentioned off air, I've got a friend over there. And I'm trying to see who he plays for, because I'm going to have to pick them. It's only fair, isn't it? Well,
I'll do that. I'll pick my team. I think I'm going to go for the Accra Panthers, because originally, when we first started this Ghana journey, that's the team that we were engaging with, and the ladies in the men's team. I think the ladies team are like the league champions, I think, at one point as well. So I'm going to go with Accra Panthers as my pick. We'll have to see. Paul's out keeping Britain warm at the moment on a bank holiday, so we'll have to wait and see what team he wants to pick. So have you found your team you want to put your flag behind, Parker?
I haven't. I'm a bit.
Do you want to keep us in suspense then for next week?
Yeah, I will.
Right. So
I'll read
I'm going to have
into them.
Accra.
Yeah. You go for the favourites. Don't worry about that. Yeah, I'll have a look. I'll make my mind up in the week.
Yeah.
And we'll
Looking
follow
at
them through the year.
Yeah, they played the first fixtures this week, and the Tigers lost to the Scholars 22-16. Then they also beat the Bulls 20 points to 8, and then the Panthers beat the Bears 40-0. So the Panthers, the top point scorers in the first week of the season, Parker.
Yeah, plenty of points. I don't think they're a good team anyway. But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see and the development. I think there must be a new team this year because I think there was only 4 last year and there's 5 this year. There's 6. So again, good to see. And let's keep supporting them. And if anyone's on the socials, just give them a follow. And encourage people to get involved over there. And you never know. In 10 years' time, the Ghanaian rugby league team might be a force in a World Cup. You just never know.
You never know. So that's all the news, and now we'll look forward to the games this weekend. So we'll start off with our ladies, Parker. They're in Challenge Cup action against Cardiff Demons on Sunday. 1 o'clock kickoff according to previous posts. So just obviously keep your eye on the socials. Home game. Salford will confirm that later on in the week. Exciting, obviously. Defeat last week before against Featherstone. Managed to watch the full match. Confession time. When I did watch the original game, I had my son with me, so I couldn't sit and watch 2 games back to back because he'd probably have a meltdown over that. So basically I watched 2 15-minute sections, so I managed to watch the full game on RDTV. And Chris Bates was spot on that at one point I didn't realise, I couldn't figure out which team only had 13 players to select from. They were that good, our ladies, chances and ferocious in defence as well. So I'm sure if they can continue that form against the Demons on Sunday, they'll get a result.
Yeah, absolutely. And the week off will have obviously helped with the injuries, the head injuries that we suffered. Hopefully they can be fixed and patched up and back out on the park. And yeah, playing Cardiff, that's an interesting development. Working in South Wales somewhere, not particularly in the men's game, it doesn't appear, but it's good to see. I didn't realise last week that it was a kind of round robin tournament. I thought it was a knockout because I'm sure they said in the stadium that Featherstone march on when they get the result out, and I mean, oh right, that's a shame. So, but yeah, no, this is a great chance to get back, get a win on the board, and push on. But we need players on the park. Obviously, that's when you explained it last week about we lost 2-3 players straight away with injuries. You can't play an 80-minute game of rugby with one sub or none in the end. You're going to suffer. The fatigue's going to set in, and the opposition are obviously going to score like they did. Take the game away from you. So yeah, no, it's a good chance for us to get back on it, and I'm sure the girls are looking forward to it because they don't suffer defeat very often. It's not something they're used to. I'm sure it's not sat comfortably with them this week. So they've got a great chance of obviously making amends and pushing on and trying to get through this tournament.
Yeah, they are back-to-back South Super League champions, Parker. So they are the best of the best when it comes to rugby league down south.
Yeah, it's fascinating, really. I wouldn't have realised that. I mean, the south of England in general is, does have a healthy sort of amateur men's game, and hopefully one day will develop, into professionalism. But the ladies' scene seems to be really strong, and these are the best of them. And it's good to see them being part of this. They've been given a chance to show what they can do, and I'm pretty sure with the heritage of rugby of either code in South Wales, they'll have some good players and players who know what they're doing, and I bet they'll be pretty physical. I think that might be on the cards.
Yeah, They've got 9 Welsh internationals. Obviously, looking at the Welsh ladies international squad that was announced a couple of weeks ago, 9 of their players are part of that squad, which shows you the quality that they've got in their division. They've got Bristol, Golden Ferns, Bedford Tigers, the Army, London, Oxford Cavaliers, and obviously themselves. So, we talked about expanding the game, and this is, what it's all about. Teams down south, playing rugby league, the ladies' game going all the time. Great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I mentioned the other week about London and their production line, if you like, in the male game. So I'm sure it's as strong in the female side of it. Bedford Tigers, well-developed club, really well. They've been around for a while now. And again, on the men's side, so there's no reason, because there's a rugby union heritage which can be passed on in some way. If you fall out of love with it, or you fancy it, whatever, different time of the year, you switch from union in the winter to league in the summer if you want to carry on playing. There's plenty to choose from, so it's probably quite competitive. And obviously it won't be, I wouldn't suspect it's at the levels of what we have up here. Clearly, you're not going to have your Leeds, Saints, York, Wigan, because it's just the hotbed of the sport. But I'm pretty sure there's going to be some good players down there. And I think Cardiff might be, if they're the strongest of them all, might be a real opposition.
They beat London in the grand final last year. London finished top, Cardiff finished second, but then Cardiff beat London 34-4 in the final, which shows, what they can do under pressure. But it's going to be exciting. Obviously, Challenge Cup, playing sort of new opponents, our ladies. It'll be exciting. What we've seen so far, the new players that they brought in, taking this team to another level for me. So you're hoping, obviously, they'll take on Cardiff and show what they've got, and we'll be celebrating the first Challenge Cup win on Sunday.
Yeah, but it's going to be tough for the girls. Obviously, just got to get themselves up now, get them out of that mindset, and get off to a flyer. Just in case any injuries do crop up. I mean, to have a lead would be very nice. But like you say, these Welsh girls play together in the international team as well. So it's a tough prospect, and it'll be interesting to see how we get on.
Yeah. So get yourselves down there to Salford. Obviously, the club will announce the kick-off time. It does say 1 o'clock, but obviously wait for the club to announce where they're going to kick off and what time. And get yourselves down there and support the Chris Bates ladies. They're on a great journey into Super League, and looking for exciting things to come in the next few months. Let's move on to Paul Rowleys' men. They face Leeds Rhinos away on Friday, Parker. Rowan Smith, their coach, bit in and out Leeds at the moment. They're not the Leeds Rhinos of yesteryear, but they still have enough good players in that squad to test people.
They are. You put it spot on there. They're up and down. They'll win one week, they'll lose the next. They'll look awful one week, they'll look quite good the next. And going to Headingley, which is a graveyard for us, probably second only to Saints these days. It's going to be tough. It really is. They've had a week off as well to get any bodies back. It's always a tough place to go, but we shouldn't be afraid. We really shouldn't. You look at the league table. We're not there on luck. We're not there on merit, and we've worked hard to be where we are. And hopefully, we can have at least Kenny Seo back. I don't know what's there, whether anybody else is fit and available now, but it'll be competitive. I'll say that. And really, playing at Headingley is quite a wide pitch, which you'd think would suit our style of play, our expansive play, and opening up gaps for people like Brodie Croft, who loves to drop his shoulder and go through. Andy Ackers from acting half, exploiting space. It's going to be a good game. I think the thing is with Leeds, I don't think they know perhaps their best team.
Yeah.
I really don't. I think he chops and changes a little bit, and then the halfback partnership. I mean, I'm going to live to regret this. I think it's been pretty dreadful while it's been together. Caesar and Austin. I just don't think they've worked. I don't think it. They'll probably have absolute worldies this week. Now I've said that, but I think that's part of the problem. You look at our halfbacks and how instrumental they are in what we do. They're a massive part of the reason why we win. for me, Leeds halfbacks are major reasons why they lose. But they have got some really good play. I mean, saw Ash Hanley playing for England at the weekend. Always scores against us. Always. I don't know why, he just does. You know, Richie Myler's still a pain, no matter how you look at it, whether it's perhaps not playing the game quite fairly or just being good on the day. He's got that about him. But they've got a lot of good players, Leeds, playing at home at Headingley, like I say, where it's tough. But we should go there confident. You know, we've won 3 on the bounce now. We're no dummies, and hopefully, you know, the weather can buck up a little bit. We have a nice dry pitch. I think it made for an open game. Who knows?
Yeah, Caesar Austin reminds me of Chase and Smith for us. Both individually wonderful, put them together, just never quite clicked. And that's the problem I think Leeds have. You need somebody to be the dominant half who does stuff. But then there's both of them wanting to do the stuff when the other one's not willing to help the other guy do it, if that makes sense. And that's a real problem for Leeds. For me, I think it's really important. I think Paul Rowleys laughed at me last year when I said you've got to make sure that you play the team and not the shirt or the occasion. And he was like, well, rugby players, you know, we play Leeds a lot. I was like, yeah, but we get beat a lot. So it's kind of a thing that obviously we're heading there. Looked at the stats. I think they've won the last 4 on the spin at home, so they'll have momentum. So we'll need to be able to quieten that south stand down and start playing rally ball. And that's that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping for a sort of marker. If we can beat Leeds at Leeds, that's regardless what form they're in, that's a statement. And that's a statement for not just us. That's for everybody out of our bubble who are reading things about our supporters share scheme and watching us on Sky play great rugby, and seeing us in newspapers for the right reasons. We can turn Leeds over. That puts a big message out for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the week after we go to Saints, don't we? And that's that's our other horror place. But if we could beat Leeds and go there 4 on a balance, having beaten Leeds away, it's again another chance for us to go. So we don't care who we play. And another point on that. Hopefully the players, it's being explained to them what's happening off the pitch with the fans, because I think we've got a great connection with our players, more so than we've had for a long time, probably since we left the Willows. I think there's a bond there now. You see the players with the fans at the end of the game, and you speak to like Joey Burgess, who absolutely loves it. He loves having his name sung and that kind of. He's never had that at Wigan, and all the players seem to buy into it, and that hopefully they can sort of take in this, that it's going to be the fans that are going to keep them, keep pay their wages, keep them in jobs, and we're the force behind the club now. This is how it works. There's no, even though they knew there was no money, but there's nobody just going to throw a load of money at it. They need us as much, we need them. And hopefully it gives them a bit of a more sense of, I don't know, pride, but, they might just put in an extra couple of % if they can. And turn Leeds over. I think that'd be if we can go 4 in a row, which we very, very rarely do, have done in our history, really. That'd be a massive marker. And like you've said, it'll send a message out to the rest of the league that we've not just, we have only edged games recently, but we've done it with hard work. But we can play rugby as well. And I think it's going to be a really interesting night.
Prediction time, Parky. Have you done your Googles and your writing down of scores? And obviously, I know you've got this prediction league going. How are you doing with that?
I am reigning champion, but no, but I'm way down at the moment. I'm 9th or 10th in the league. I've had a point. Mainly the NRL's letting me down. Shock results and all the time. If we get a strong referee who's not going to be swayed by the Headingley crowd and the shouts of the South Stand, like most of them are. Last year again, we got absolutely stung there with some awful decisions that put us in I think we were 18-0 down through not much fault of our own. If we've got a strong referee and we've got fit bodies on the park, I think Leeds look very shaky, and I think we can take them. And it's not often I think this going to Headingley. I'm never confident going there. But I actually quite fancy us. So I'm going to go. I think it'll be close because I think all our games are close at the moment. But I'll say we'll take it 22-18.
22-18 Salford. So Paul's getting a vote of confidence for being 10th in the prediction league from his board. I'm going to go Salford to win. I'm going to go Leeds 6, Salford 38. 38-6, and I'm going Briley hat-trick. Wow. In front of the Salford Mast faithful and that open end, which is terrible for a professional rugby league, Super League team that you can't have the amenities on one side of the stadium.
Yeah, it's an ongoing thing. I'm one of the few, even though we don't do well there. I like Headingley in terms of a stadium, but it is an absolute nightmare with no roof. I mean, as soon as the Evans open, you are drenched. Yeah. It shouldn't happen. They spent millions on that stadium recently, and not bothered to look after the away fans. I think it's a bit harsh. I know it's difficult because they've got houses behind them, and they say they can't build up. Well, you can build over like Wakefield did with that roof they put on their terrace. Doesn't have to go higher, just go across. You might cut off the back 2 rows, but that's fine. It's not like Headingley's not big enough. But yeah, I mean, it's a horrible place for us, but I don't mind it. And I always think the surface looks perfect at Headingley. Always. I don't know why. But my brother went last year for the first time since the Challenge Cup defeat against Sheffield there. And he was still, he was flabbergasted that they couldn't put a roof on it. And he didn't speak very highly of the place. So, yeah, but that's I agree with you. We should have standards. It's something about Yorkshire clubs that don't do that. I don't know why, but they don't put roofs on, even though it rains a lot. But that's a different thing. But no, it's going to be a good game. Good atmosphere. I hope there's decent numbers going over. I'm still trying to plan on getting there. I've not been accepted yet, but hopefully I'll get on a coach somewhere or something. But it'd be a good occasion, and I think it will be a decent game. Both teams will be looking to to get into that top 6 or for us to try and stay there, because you can't afford a slip up at the moment. It's that tight. Lee are going well. Obviously, you've still got challenges from everywhere else. So be a good night.
Yeah. So obviously very exciting, both our men and ladies in action this weekend. Hopefully 2 wins from 2. That'll be what we're looking for. So that's the end of this week's podcast. Another great show, Park. I just want to say big thanks to all the people who've donated via our Ko-fi. Obviously helping us fund the podcast to for subscriptions and equipment, and to help us produce the quality of podcast that you're all enjoying week in, week out, Parky. It's a joy to do this, but it's also fantastic that our listeners put their hands in the pockets and help to fund it and help us to create better podcasts every week.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, like I say, the money people are putting into the club at the moment, I'm bewildered by some people's generosity, but without our listeners and the contributions, we couldn't do what we do. It's no, I mean, I said last time we were on, I can't thank people enough for what they do. I know times are hard, and even a couple of quid, it's a lot. You've got to feed your families and stuff like that. So we do greatly appreciate it. I just want to say, by the way, I know I mentioned last week that my niece was about to make her rugby league debut for Eccles Roosters. She did. They played at Langworthy Reds, a bit of a local derby. And for their opener, they won fairly well. I think it was something like 8-1 or something. You quite could have tried. You don't in no goal kicks or anything like that at that age. But it was brilliant to watch. These kids it just puts a smile on your face watching them. Both teams just went at it, and there's not a care in the world. The weather wasn't great. It was raining early, 10 o'clock Sunday morning. But I went down to the Roosters on the Thursday to watch them train, and obviously Adrian Morley's there coaching them. I mean, you're getting coached for Adrian Morley. Come on. But I just want to say to Patrick and everyone down there, just keep doing what you're doing, because it's fantastic giving these kids, all over, not just there at Langworthy, at Folly and everywhere else, giving them a chance to go and play at that age, boys and girls together. And in there, oddly enough, in their team, I think there's 2 COs, a Lafay and a Morley. You're not going to do too bad with them guys in your team. So
No.
but it's brilliant to see. I really enjoyed it, and I just want to say to them volunteers who put the time in, the coaches and everyone else at the amateur clubs in the area, please just keep doing what you're doing, because our sport needs you, and you're an absolute credit to yourselves, your clubs, and to the sport.
Yeah, fantastic. Obviously, the stuff that's going on at amateur level, all the support they get, and people work hard week in, week out to keep these clubs going. It's a great thing. So yeah, if you do want to sort of buy us a coffee through the Colfie, £3 helps us continue to produce the podcast that you all enjoy. So big thanks to tuning to this week's Devil in the Detail podcast. Ambro Parks, you can find us on Facebook, Devil in the Detail SRD, find us on Twitter at DITDSRD, you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Radio Contact, Spotify and YouTube. Good luck, Reds. See you soon.